So one of the theme that I really loved, one of the themes that I really loved, and I've started to promote within our community around the world, and there's 100 million people now in network marketing around the world.
Wow, I didn't know that number. That's
Yeah,
amazing.
100 million.
Wow.
$182 billion a year in sales.
Yeah, I knew it was in
total.
the 200 billion range.
So 100 million people are involved, and the theme that I like is you teach people to have two businesses.
Yes.
One is the business of how you're making your money.
Yes.
And the second is the business of your investments giving you an income stream. So for people in network marketing, one is to create, maybe transition from a job to a network marketing career. Yeah. And then once you're there, try to get your investment income to surpass your network marketing income.
Correct.
So first of all, what drove you to create this book? And what could a person inside of network marketing benefit from? I've already benefited tremendously, yeah. Right? Because I came out of that world, yeah. Right? It's just you're pedaling as fast as you can, yeah. And sometimes you're just focused on growing the group, and yeah. You forget about the dollars. Yeah. And sometimes it's programming, mental old stuff.
For sure.
For me, it had to do with self-worth. It had to do with anytime I got money, I had to spend it as quick as possible. Yeah. I had to buy everybody dinner. I had to make bad investments so I'd be back to that familiar crisis mode again. Yeah. So that was my issue with money. Yeah. So it wasn't even strategy for me. Yeah, it was some programming stuff for me. So the people inside of our space, how could they benefit from having a better financial IQ?
Yeah.
And what can this book do in order to be able to help them improve that?
A lot of questions.
Yeah, I know.
The first one is, I didn't write a book for almost 2 decades, like 18 years, primarily because I just hate writing. I love the live event. I love the spontaneity of in the moment, come up with a solution and show people. And then I've had a few day jobs because, last year I was on a plane or on stage every 4 days. And then I was doing it in 16 countries, to give you an idea. I love 10,000 people and the energy, the impact. Sitting a solitary writing book and I want to do. So why did I write a book even then? I don't need to write a book. Simon Schuster's had an offer for me forever and wanted me to do it. Was because in 2008, when I saw mass number of families losing their homes, mass number of families losing half their retirement, it wasn't like statistical to me because I grew up with no money. I grew up in an environment, we had no money for food. In fact, I donated all the profits of this book in advance. I've been feeding 4 million people a year for the last 10 years. I've been feeding people since I was 17, because when I was 11, my family got fed, and I said, I'm gonna give back. So 17, I fed 2 families, and then 4, and then 8, and then my small company got involved, and eventually I got to $1 million, and then 2 million, and then for the last 6 years, I've matched the 2 million that my foundation does, personally feeding 2 million. But I thought, I fed 42 million people in my life. I want to feed that many people in a year. So I said, I'm going to feed 50 million people. And I called and said, if I took all the money from this book, Feeding America, how many people can I feed? And they said 10 million people. I was like, geez, So I finally just wrote a check higher than that. So I want people to know I wrote this book to give away the content. But I wrote the book because I wanted people to have real answers. And I have a unique gift that most people aren't aware of. And that is I've been coaching one of the top 10 financial traders in the history of the world. His name is Paul Tudor Jones, for 22 years. This is my 22nd year with him. And he's not lost money in 22 years. Now, there's no one on earth that you know of that could say that, who's a top financial person at that level. And I mean, daily, I've coached him. He sends me the note of what's going on, know where to go. So I've got a level of insight. So I thought after 2008, when I saw this happening, I said, I'm not everybody. I don't have the whole solution, but I got access. So what if I interviewed 50 of the smartest people on earth who started with nothing, like us, and then built billions, top hedge fund guys, as well as, the academia guys, the guys that are the smartest, in the room intellectually, who have studied what works. And let me put it in one book, and if I could put it into a system, like a 7-step system, and that's what I did. And so it took 4 years, and I'm thrilled with it, and the impact's been amazing. And the endorsements I've got have been, guys like T. Boone Pickens or Carl Icahn, people of that nature. And it's because they all read it. This is the real thing. So the answer to your question is, I was just in my seminar, we've been 4 days into it, and almost everybody there has a plan now to grow their business 30 to 130%, some 200%, with no bullshit. Like I'm talking about a conservative plan where they walked in thinking, how would I grow 10 or 15, in the marketplace? But after all that, I still want them to know, and that's why my conversation with them today is, You got to have your core business, and you got to have a second business with no employees that takes you 15 minutes, maybe a month or a quarter. You can actually make it 15 minutes a year. And I want that second business to be the one that makes you financially free. So if anything ever happens to your core business, you're still set. And I can really show you how to deliver that, because that's what these people have done. And all I'm talking about is make the most important financial decision of your life, and stop being a consumer and start being an owner. And the way you become an owner, it's simplistic as it is, and we all know it, but I get people to do it, is you take a percentage of what you earn, like we all know, and you decide, this is not going to Kate Spade, this is not going to Louis Vuitton, this is not going to some beautiful restaurant, this money stays in my family, and you automate it, and you put it into an account, and then you figure out where to put it, but that money has to disappear. You have to know it's not, you have to not see it. If that happens, you got the first step to success. The second step is, once you have that, you've got to understand the rules of the game, because so many people get taken advantage of, who may be the few that actually put the money aside. And the people in multi-level marketing, like you said, they're running their team, they're running the family. How am I supposed to be a financial expert? You don't have to be an expert, but you have to know the rules of the game, because this is a place, if you don't know the rules, you will get hurt. Yep. And my goal with this book was to take people from being the chess piece to being the chess player. And I knew I could do that with a mom who's just getting started, or a millennial that's got a bunch of college debt and still do it, or a totally sophisticated person who thinks they're sophisticated, and I show them what Carl Icahn's doing, and they go, holy shit, this is amazing.
It blew me away.
But the thing I want to get people to know is, if you set this system up right, and I have inside here, for example, I asked Ray Dalio, many of your audience probably don't know who Ray is. Ray Dalio, if you're really rich, you give your money to a hedge fund usually to invest your money. And a big hedge fund might be $15 billion. Ray Dalio's $165 billion. He is 10 times bigger than the richest hedge funds on earth. He manages money for China, to give an idea, right? Wow. So I go to Ray, turns out he's been a fan of mine for 20 years, really helped. I sit down with him for 4 hours. He gives me these incredible answers. And at the end, I said to him this, and it relates to your audience. I said, look, I deal with people that have 20-day jobs. I mean, they're trying to be a mom, a dad, do something in the community, run their business, be an athlete, do well financially, do something for their community. And I said, they don't have time to be a professional. And you just got done telling me these professionals might be nice people, but they're never going to do it. 96% of mutual funds, for example, which is where most people put their money, don't match even an index over a 10-year period of time. That means if you're here in Vegas and you go play blackjack, and you say, I'm going to find the 4% that are successful. If you play blackjack and you get 2 face cards and your inner idiot says, hit me, you have an 8% chance of getting an ace. You got a 4% chance of getting a mutual fund. So I said to him, Ray, what you shared is amazing. I'm going to teach this, but you got to teach me this principle of what you do in actual numbers, so people could just go do it. 3% of this, 10% of that. He goes, Tony, I can't give you that. He goes, that's my secret sauce. People have to have a $5 billion net worth and give me $100 million before I'll even consider taking their money. And he said, that was 10 years ago. And I said, that's the point. You haven't taken money in 10 years. You're not going to take any more money. So give me the secret sauce. Help me help the average person, right? And I got him. He goes, well, Tony, he goes, it's really complex. I said, I'm good at taking complex and make it simple. He goes, well, I use leverage. I said, design one without leverage. He goes, it wouldn't be perfect. I said, your idea of not perfect is everybody else's idea of Da Vinci, So I said, and he goes, well, and he lays out this plan. And he goes, go back test that. He goes, when people talk about past performance doesn't equal future performance, that's because it's like a 5 or 10 year period of time. He said, test it over the entire modern history of investing, say 75 years, and tell me what you find out. I hired the firm to test it. 85% of the time in the last 75 years, think about all the up and downs of markets in the last 75, 85% of the time it's made money. And when it lost money, it didn't lose 50% like 2000 or 51% like 2008. It lost 3.99%, just under 4% in the worst time. If you could go to Vegas and make money 85% of the time when you only lost 4%, how much would you invest, right? How much would you invest?
Tom wouldn't be here.
So I want people to know this book will show you exactly step by step what to do. And you want to set it up so that everything you do, your day-to-day business is wonderful. But if that went away, you're still financially set.